Jonah from last week? Yeah, because Jonah meditated on this story his whole life. This is a fixed theme in the scriptures of God throwing his enemies into the sea. Last week, the book of Jonah showed us that God's enemies can even include his own people. Good evening and happy after the Sabbath days and shalom, shalom. Welcome back to Study the Bible, Not the Sermon TV. If this is your first time here, welcome to where we have come to understand strange Bible stories. And if you move by something you hear, see, or read while you're here, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and then slide on our notifications bell. And if you're a regular here, please drop me a comment so I can shout you out on the next joint. And to the homie Mixtape 2, I appreciate your attention to the details that I discuss here on this playlist. 100. Now, Jonah's prayer has much in common with the other inset prayers in the Hebrew Bible that either take place right after or right before deliverance. All of these examples contain images of either rescue from dangerous waters or ascent from the grave into the land of the living. So what you're about to witness in these poems, the biblical authors are gonna place poems at key moments in their story where God brings a little gift of Eden to his people, sometimes in the form of rescue, sometimes in the form of a blessing. And what these insert poems do, these poems are a way of taking the narrative that you just read, and it's like kicking everything up a notch into a cosmic melody that reminds you of the cosmic storyline of the whole biblical narrative. That's the role of these poems, is to take individual narratives about Israelites like Hannah or Deborah or Barak and their victory, or about David surviving his crazy life. But these poems are all gonna ratchet everything up. And this story now becomes a new Adam and Eve rescued from the waters placed in the garden. They kind of blew it, but God is gracious in helping them to do a mop-up job, and it just ratchets everything up. So these poems play a really, really important role, right? Let's check it out. Exodus 15:1. Then sang Moses the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. And you hear Jonah from last week? Yeah, because Jonah meditated on this story his whole life. This is a fixed theme in the scriptures of God throwing his enemies into the sea. Last week, the book of Jonah showed us that God's enemies can even include his own people. Verse 2. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. Can you hear Jonah chapter 2? It's almost like copy and paste. His poem is biting so hard, to use a 90s term. But Jonah's poem was based on his life. I know, right? Verse 4. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Verse 5. Now here the Egyptians were on the dry land in the middle of the seabed. They was already at the bottom. Verse 8. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together, and the flood stood upright as a heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. Now congealed means that the waters were behaving like something solid. The waters stood together. But check it out in verse 12. Thou stretches out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. All the blessed people say, what? What? We talking about the land underneath the land, which can use the language of deep waters or land, the land under the land, to talk about death, similar to number 16 when the rebels are swallowed by the earth. We can use the language of deep waters or land, the land under the land, to talk about the death of God's enemies. Now, let's talk about the wilderness real quick. The wilderness is the uncultivated land in the realm of death. It is hostile to human flourishing. And then the sea, like the wilderness, the sea is a realm of death and disorder. It is poetically depicted as the deep, the waters under the land, the grave, Sheol, and even the giant sea monster. Now, next week, we're going to keep it going, and we're going to look at King David and see how his mind and his thinking was shaped not only by Genesis 1 verse 2, but also by the language in the Song of Moses in Exodus 15 that we just read. If you have thought that there was something there, now you can be sure, because they are both poems reflecting on death. I pray for everybody's listening's understanding, because for now, we up.